chess friends, I hope you are doing well. Today, I have Princess Chess, who is the best female chess competitor against me. We played a very spectacular and wonderful chess game, where I incredibly sacrificed my bishop against her. This chess opening is both romantic and rational at the same time. Stay tuned until the end of the video, because this video will touch your heart. So, I started the game with e4, Princess considered e5 and knight to c6. I played the Ruy Lopez. Because I love to play the Ruy Lopez with my knight, Princess doesn't want to consider any normal moves here, such as a6 or the Berlin defense. She doesn't want to settle in Berlin, she wants to go with the Ruy Lopez line. Therefore, I played c3, deploying the Alpin variation, where it will attack the center. My plan is to capture the knight, weaken her e5 pawn, castle, bring out my knight, maneuver it and go to the g3 square as soon as possible to get access to the a5 or h5 square to create some dominance over the king side. This is the main strategy of the Alpin Ruy Lopez. You can even consider moving back the bishop to go to c2, getting access to this file, where queen to d3 can join forces in the attack. Alright, here's the plan. The bishop moves back, and we have d4 on the board. After the exchanges occurred, you can see how my pawns are dominating the board. Here, many players might consider knight to f6 because they are just average players with an average mindset. You can then crush them by playing e5. After castling, they might play a6 because they think they can kick out your bishop and improve their position. Let me break their ego by considering bishop to c4. I will take their knight in the center of the board, and noticing that the knight doesn't have a good outpost to go to, they might move it back to e7, then I can crush them by playing d5, attacking the knight. Knight to a5 in this position looks good to attack the bishop, but it is a complete headache move because I can move my bishop back. Later on, you'll see that they cannot free up their knight or create space for their pawn structure. Therefore, after the knight moves back, you can play d5 on the board to attack the knight. The knight will think, what bad deed did I do in my past life to be attacked by so many pawns? After the knight moves, here you can play a strong and bold move. Can you guess what move I will consider here? The move I will consider is bishop to g5, attacking the queen. The position will be devastating for your opponent. Do you know why? Because even if they dare to consider f6, I will play another powerful move, e takes f6. I am threatening to capture the pawn and attack the queen simultaneously. The position will be over for them, because after I capture, queen d5 will threaten queen f7, and there is also rook to e1. Therefore, after the knight moves to e5, and knight capture happens, with the queen under attack, black might consider rook to f8. Then you can show the real power of a Stockfish subscriber by considering a brilliant move. Can you guess what brilliant move white can play in this position? If you can find that move, I'll treat you to a sweet cake at a restaurant. The move is queen to f7 check, sacrificing the queen on the board. If black dares to capture the queen, which is poisonous, you can capture the rook back, and bishop to h6 will lead to a checkmate. The position will be over, and my score will be 100 and yours only 0. Going back, we discovered that any normal kind of move is a very bad choice. That's the reason black just considered knight back to e7 on the board, because they want to play c6 and d5 to dominate the center and free up space for the bishop and attacks. We have castling and c6 on the board, attacking the bishop. Do you know what move I would consider in this position? Try to use your 2G RAM brain and figure out what brilliant move Stockfish would consider in this position. Of course, the move might be a queen or rook sacrifice, but not a king sacrifice like some who sacrifice the king. The move is d5, sacrificing the bishop on the board, because d6 can dominate and seize control over the board. After knight to g6 happens, it's the alternative variation I'm trying to show you. This is a chess gambit, my new invented Stockfish gambit, which you can apply in your game to shock your opponent one after another. Now, e5 will come on the board to create dominance, and the knight on g8 will be restricted. Therefore, the only move for the knight is h6. But doing so would be a poor choice because you can inject a threat by considering bishop to g5. The bishop will trap the queen on the board. Therefore, we discovered that knight to h6 was a very poor choice. Another alternative move that black can play is king to f8. You can then bring out your knight to create dominance over the center. Rook to e1 can come in, and after the queen moves, rook h6 and h4 arrive to kick out the knight with h5. Therefore, black needs to consider h5 themselves. The bishop will go to g5 to seize control over the diagonal. You can see that by sacrificing the bishop. My gambit is gaining speed on the highway track, with all my pieces trying to dominate and control the squares. If black dares to play f6 to attack my bishop, then the possibility of opening up the file arises, and they will face a rain of snakes from the sky. If the bishop moves back to d8 to kick out my bishop, you can put your knight on d5, simultaneously threatening the queen and rook. Black might capture the bishop on g5, and you capture back with your knight, after the rook moves. Knight to c7 followed by queen to d8, and queen to f3 arrives, attacking the pawn. Black might consider knight to h6, but you can smash them with e6, attacking the f7 pawn. This pawn will be under attack by my soldiers with tanks, and there's also the possibility of e7. After capturing the pawn, I can capture back, and you'll see that this knight is well protected by another knight. The pawn is pinned, and black will lose their queen. The position will be over for them, creating a headache for the opponent. So, let me share an inspirational quote in sudden with you. Your strength is in your calmness, in the clarity of your mind. Strength comes from putting the negative aside without reacting, when in calmness and consciousness, in balance. Alright, going back to the position, we discovered that capturing the bishop is the best move. That's why we have b6 on the board. Here, you can play rook c1, followed by bishop here, and knight to c7 can come on the board to trap the queen. After capturing and recapturing, the bishop moves here. Black thinks they trapped the rook on the board, but they don't realize I am the greatest chess player ever born. If you combine the greatest chess players and today's top players, including Magnus Carlsen, Arjun Erigaisi, Nepomniachtchi and Ding Liren, I would still be the champion. No matter how many grandmasters come before me, even 1000, I can defeat them all in a single game, with no draws, and that's my word. Because now I can sacrifice my rook on the c6 square, and you can yell like a monkey after I capture on d7, attacking the queen. After the queen moves, I can promote, not to a queen, but to a rook, because I am going to capture your queen on the next move with my bishop, and this position will be completely over for you. Alright, so going back, we discovered that playing knight to g6 is a very, very bad choice. That's the reason why we have knight to c6 on the board, because she wants to protect her position. After knight to c3, attacking the pawn, many players might think of considering a6 on the board, which looks very good to protect the pawn. Then you can play knight to d5 on the board, seizing control over these squares, and this position is just devastating for you, believe it or not. Even if you dare to try to develop your pieces, I can play bishop to g5, pinning your knight on the board. My pawn on d6 is crucial, acting as if it were Adolf Hitler, conquering the territory completely. So, going back, we discovered that playing a6 is not a good idea. Therefore, another alternative move that black can play is king to f8, and I can play a strong move here, knight to d5, dominating the board. We have h6 to prevent my bishop's entry, but after e5 comes on the board, you'll notice that your opponent's pieces will be restricted. The center is dominated by me, the knight cannot move up and is just paralyzed in jail. The rook on h8 is trapped, the queen is weakened, the bishop is stuck, and the rook is under pressure. This position will be very passive for you. Therefore, after b4, a3 comes on the board, attacking the pawn. What move should you consider? After capturing, we have b4, and here princess thinks for a bit, noticing that b5 is coming. She might consider a6, and because you, princess, are a sweet girl, I can capture the pawn. Do you know what move I can play, princess? I can play b5, attacking your knight. This is an alternative variation I am illustrating for you because there is bishop to e3 on the board, attacking the bishop with two forces. Princess might consider b4, and I can sacrifice my rook on the a7 square. After capturing, bishop to b7 will arrive on the board, and after the queen moves, knight to c7 can fork the pieces and show my real power, and princess will be in my control with her position completely restricted. So, going back, we discovered that playing a6 is a very bad choice, which princess didn't actually consider. She just considered a5 on the board. We captured, attacking the rook. After the rook moves, b5 comes in. A few moves later, after some exchanges, we have knight to h4 on the board because queen to f3 is coming to attack the pawn, and the rook is coming to g3 to control the c-file. After a rook move to the h7 square, I can go in with my sniper gun with queen to h5, attacking the pawn. After capture, queen to f5 attacks the rook. Many players might think of moving the rook back to h8, but that's a very foolish move because, why would you move up your rook in the first place? Here I can play the cunning move knight to g6 on the board, and you can see that the pawn will be under attack, and the rook can come to the g3 lane. This position will be completely devastating for you. Alright, so going back, we discovered that princess here considered knight to f6 on the board. She wants to let me capture her knight because who doesn't love me? Everyone loves me because I am more creative and smarter than anyone else. After capture, many players, I mean princess, brilliantly exchanged queens on the board, but hold on, princess. I have something bigger than you. I capture the pawn on g7, after capture and recapture, the rook is under attack. After the rook moves, we have bishop to h6 check. Hold on to this position, because if you dare to consider king to g8, I can fork your pieces. If the king goes to e8, I can play rook to e1 check, and rook to e3 can attack the rook. Then bishop to g5 can lead to checkmate because the pawn on d6 is still a headache for you. The position will be devastating because of this. Calculating all these variations, princess captured the bishop, and I captured the rook back. A few moves later, as always, this position is completely winning for me. This is the endgame, and at the end of the day, I have a bishop for the rook, making this position completely winning no matter what. In the end, princess just leaves her chair and blocks me again. I don't know why girls always block me, but I love chess more than anyone, even if she is my love or not. So, wishing you all a good day, take care and see you soon. Subscribe for more videos.